Yeah,
I know some people might be wanting to hear numbers as well to touch upon light. If anybody's tracking PPFD, so amount of par measured in PPFD. Typically, veg stage, I'm usually doing 400 to 600 is a good general range. Of course, people go outside of that, whether it be more than that, less than that. But in order to get that optimal growth, make sure that your plants aren't stunted at all or slower growth at all. You're trying to get through veg fast. That's the point of this video, is ensuring that you're kind of dialed in when it comes to the lighting. And so, yeah, having those numbers there. You having a par meter, I know some of them are expensive, but you can use it on your phone now. There's some apps you can use to get a measurement of par. Yeah, you might want to consider utilizing that. That's definitely a helpful tool.
Absolutely. I think with that, utilizing other tools would be, we did mention multiple times in this Canada series about utilizing moisture meters.
Yeah.
And being able to utilize crop steering with your heavier feeding and your high frequency fertigation. And then also with your drybacks, this is a huge thing too. I've seen people grow in soil and it looks like they're growing in hydroponics because of how much they're able to dial in basically the manipulation of the feeding and the water and the moisture within the pot. And they absolutely crush it. But with the pot, do you gentlemen ever think about the aeration to the roots? Like the argument you hear people using, what are those pots with little holes around the side? That
air pots.
Air pot. Whoa. What a clever name. the air pots that get air to the roots. Yeah. That's funny. It's like those. I've got buddies who swear by it still to this day that they get more vigor roots and faster growing plants because they have that, and same with smart pots or cloth pots as well versus the hard plastic ones that have less aeration.
Really, really great call out. Yeah, that's definitely going to help get you a faster veg time, right? Your plants grow more vigorously. I mean, even choosing the medium, cocoa versus soil, right?
Yep.
Cocoa's more airier medium. It's going to allow more oxygen down in the root zone. DWC, hydroponics,
yeah.
Man, that you can get really fast veg growth with that. So, yeah, your growing method is a way that you can speed up veg time and growth.
Any particular nutrients you guys would utilize?
Definitely make sure you're having Stash Blend in the mix. Go to stashblend.com.
But why? There's some beneficial, aspects to Stash Blend that are going to allow you to get a faster growth during veg. And
oh yeah, dude, utilizing mycorrhizae and beneficial bacteria is huge. I mean, I don't care what brand you're using other than Stash Blend you need to be using, but it's so underutilized. It blows my mind how many people who are growing plants who don't utilize it. I'm like, dude, go in your backyard and dig up some mulch or something. Figure it out. You need to get something in there for some microbes, some life in your plant.
Yeah, that, and then Stash Blend also has some NPK, right? 215 NPK has nutrition in there, so it definitely helps.
Yeah,
well fed,
silica,
baby,
and some silica as well. Hardy, strong. If you're gonna start doing some bending and manipulation, utilizing some silica within your feeding regimen would be important too. It doesn't matter what DWC, soil, soilless media, some form of silica will definitely help because it'll make your plant more malleable, but also strong. That plant cell wall will be strong, so you can manipulate the plant more without bending it and breaking it in a negative way.
Beautiful, man. Yep, beautiful. I totally agree. Feeding's going to be important. Feeding's going to be really important. Pot size, I think is really, really something you want to take into consider too, because I think if you leave it in the original pot for too long, that's going to kind of hinder the root ball and you're not going to get maximum growth. But at the same time, personally, I also don't think you should put in the largest pot to start either, because I also believe in training the roots, which might be different for everyone.
Yeah, different takes on that. Some people would argue against that method, but both ways. I think the most important takeaway is that you don't want it to be root bound, right? You don't want those roots to be in, say, a plastic container, for example, where it's circling around the edge and it's actually inhibiting nutrient uptake at that point, right? So that's something that could slow down growth. And if we're looking to get a fast veg time and flip the flower quick, we don't want any slow growth to happen. So yeah, I think that's a great call out is transplant on time. I will take a different stance to you as far as training your roots and stuff. Like I totally love to start out in a large container and just let the roots grow throughout there, but different strokes for different folks in that particular case.
Yeah, I think root growth is very, very important to think about. And that's where like those kind of pots we were just talking about can help you with air pruning. I do still notice with cloth pots, the quality does vary. Just the random cheap big bag that you'll get on Amazon is not the same as getting some of the quality ones that AC Infinity provides or smart pots themselves.
Geopots.
Geopot's
a good
Geopots.
one. Geopets? Yeah.
I was like, Geopets are doing it too now?
Chia.
But to be able to use some air pruning, so to speak, that can definitely help. And again, keeping oxygen to the roots without having them exposed to light is a big thing. I know people who will swear by just using rock wool, and they're tiny, tiny containers. I've seen it in commercial grows. They're massive plants, quick vegging, 2-3 week veg and flip to flower. And the thing is when they're going into flower, it's misleading because you see a plant the size of Chris's water bottle. And, you know, just for reference, if you're not watching.
32 ounce.
Yeah, if you're not watching, you're listening. But 32 ounce bottle, not that big, maybe a foot and a half, maybe a foot, you know.
11 inches.
11 inches. All right. So he's a size guy, okay? We ain't talking about size today. But with that being said, see plants like that double in size and some plant training make them look like big, hardy plants. So your vegging fast time doesn't always have to be thinking about, I need the biggest, most monstrous beast of a plant right away. But if you have a big pot, you'll notice oftentimes, and it's total horticulture green thumb, is that a larger pot, you'll have more width of the plant. It just has more room to grow. You'll have a tall plant, but it's like, I've had plants that are like Chileto G is a prime example. It's a globe. It grows bushy and it's wider. When I put it in a bigger container, it doubles in size. Like it's just wider as a whole. It goes with the root growth. It's like a tree. It has more place to grow. As where a smaller container, I can have it more, slim and tall. That's the way I work it. But it depends on your setup. You could do a sea of green and want to have a bunch of skinny, tall plants that you could just force in there versus one big beast that you put in a 4x4, you know?
I definitely wouldn't put more than one plant into a pot.
No.
I know some people.
I've done it. I'm actually doing it right now.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to argue against it. If you're going to try to maximize.
I think it sucks.
No, I sorry not to cut you off, but I'm only doing it because it's the last resort. You know what I mean? I got stuck with running out of pots, so I have 3 in one 10-gallon container. It's a fun little experiment. Anyways,
and let it be. If you're trying to maximize the amount of time in veg, you don't want your plants competing against any other plants. So
agreed.
It is what it is. Yeah, I'm
ideal.
not going to knock on the technique. I just if you want speed, that's not going to give it to you. Give it its own pot. You know, I would even argue too, like maybe you don't want to fill the tent to the max either. Maybe give them a chance to breathe and to spread out so they're not so confined, consuming, and they're not competing for any environmental benefits, humidity or just anything that might, whether they're sucking in oxygen or what. So there's just no competition between plants as well.
I was literally backed into a wall, I felt like, because I ran out of space physically. And I'm like, man, I want these in living soil. I didn't think all these, I actually thought one of them wasn't going to make it, but it bounced back. And I was like, I don't want to just kill off a healthy plant right now. Well, I got this 1 10-gallon left. I'm just going to put them all in here. And then I'm going to do a really, really fast flip. It got an okay result. So not too bad. It's very small yield on it, but nothing too impressive. But I was just backed into a wall. I wouldn't do that if I was trying to have a short veg time and flip to flower fast.
This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.